Ethan wished the world would swallow him whole, but instead it gave him something worse. One locked door and one ex-boyfriend standing on the other side of it. Honestly, he would have preferred a fire drill or a mild earthquake. Anything except this. Mateo Rivera stared at him like some cosmic joke had just been delivered with his morning coffee. "Well," Mateo said, arms crossing, "looks like the universe still hates you." Ethan hated that the first thing to hit him wasn't anger, but that stupid familiar warmth that Mateo's voice always stirred in him. The same warmth he'd spent 2 years trying to bury under work, therapy, and excessive DoorDash orders. They were stuck together because the company retreat lodge had a faulty digital lock system. One glitch, one click, and boom. Ethan found himself trapped in a room with the man who used to kiss him like the world was ending, and now signed his paychecks with a colder hand than winter in Chicago. He backed away to the farthest corner, gripping his laptop like a shield. "This is fine," Ethan lied to himself out loud. "I'll just breathe through it, like my therapist said." Mateo raised an eyebrow. "Still narrating your coping mechanisms, I see." The room felt too small, too warm, too full of memories. 2 years ago, they were inseparable. 2 years ago, they were planning an apartment in Seattle, a dog, a life. And 2 years ago, Mateo got the promotion to New York and broke things off in a blur of excuses that still stung in Ethan's chest. Now Mateo was his new boss because the universe not only hated Ethan Caldwell but also had a flair for comedy. Outside, the wind pushed against the lodge like it wanted in on the drama. Inside, Mateo paced while Ethan tried very hard not to imagine what he looked like doing that 2 years younger, shirtless, in their old kitchen. "So," Mateo said eventually, "we're going to be here a while. Might as well talk." "No," Ethan breathed out. "Actually, we might as well not." Silence stretched, and not the pleasant kind. The kind that carried old fights, old kisses, old wounds. Mateo leaned back against the windowsill, exuding a calm that irritated Ethan to the bone. "You still avoid conflict by pretending it doesn't exist?" he asked quietly. "And you still avoid accountability by pretending you're above it?" Ethan shot back. Mateo froze. Good, Ethan thought. Let him feel something for once. He turned away, staring out the window at the blur of pines. The sky looked heavy, gray, like it was mirroring his chest. "Why did you take the job?" Mateo asked. "You knew I worked there." "I didn't know you'd be my direct supervisor," Ethan snapped. "And, surprise, rent in Denver is expensive. I needed the job." Mateo sighed, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "You could have told me." "Oh, we're giving each other life advice now?" Ethan barked out a laugh. "Great, fantastic. Let's just pretend we didn't emotionally destroy each other. That'll be fun." He didn't expect Mateo to step toward him. He didn't expect his voice to go soft and steady. "Ethan, look at me." Ethan did, against his better judgment, against every self-preservation instinct he had. Mateo's eyes weren't cold. They weren't distant. They were tired, sad, familiar. "I didn't leave because I stopped loving you," Mateo said. The words landed like a punch to the ribs. Ethan blinked. "Then why did you?" Mateo hesitated, jaw clenching like he was holding back an entire earthquake of truth. "Because I was terrified. Because I thought I'd ruin you. Because that promotion came with expectations I didn't know how to handle. And because I didn't want to drag you into the mess I was about to become." "You dragged me anyway," Ethan whispered. Mateo's expression fractured. Ethan looked down at his hands. "I waited for you," he said, voice cracking. "For months. I tried to believe you'd call. Or text. Or show up. But you didn't. And the worst part wasn't losing you. It was feeling like I wasn't worth the fight." Mateo stepped closer, slow, deliberate, like approaching a wounded animal. "You were worth everything," he murmured. "I was the one who wasn't." Ethan's breath caught. Then the power flickered out, plunging the room into dim twilight. For a moment, neither of them moved. The world outside went quiet. Inside, Ethan felt the tension tighten around them like an invisible string. Mateo whispered, Ethan, please tell me there's still a part of you that hasn't closed the door on us. Ethan swallowed hard. He wasn't ready to answer. Not yet. He was drowning in memories, in longing, in anger, in the warmth of Mateo's voice. And for the first time in 2 years, he wasn't sure if he wanted to swim to shore or let himself sink into everything he tried to forget. Ethan didn't answer him. Couldn't. His throat felt tight. His mind buzzing with every version of the future he had once imagined with Mateo and every version of the past Mateo had let die. Mateo didn't push. He simply sat down on the edge of the bed, hands clasped, shoulders tense. A man who used to walk into any room with CEO confidence now looked like he was waiting for a verdict he already feared. Minutes passed. The quiet was thick, fragile. Ethan finally moved, sinking onto the couch across from him. "You don't get to just show up in my life again," Ethan said softly, "and expect me to fall back into place." Mateo nodded. "I know. You don't get to break me and then act surprised that I stayed broken." "I know," Mateo repeated, this time barely audible. Ethan wiped a hand over his face. "Then what do you want from me?" Mateo lifted his gaze. The dim light made his eyes darker, deeper. "I want a chance to fix what I broke. Not all at once. Not overnight. Just a chance to try." Ethan let out a humorless laugh. "Funny thing about second chances. They cost more than the first." "I'll pay it," Mateo said. "Whatever it is." He said it like a promise, like a vow, like something sacred. Ethan felt something shift inside him. A crack, a tremble, possibility. But possibility wasn't trust. The wind outside grew stronger, shaking the windows. A storm rolled in, sudden and heavy, as if nature insisted on matching the chaos inside the room. Ethan crossed his arms. "So what? You want to start over?" "No," Mateo replied. "I want to continue, from where we should have been if I hadn't run." Ethan closed his eyes. It was too much, too fast, too real. He stood abruptly, pacing the room. "Mateo, you can't just say these things and expect me to believe you." "I don't expect you to believe me," Mateo said. "I expect you to watch me prove it." That silenced Ethan. Not because the words were dramatic, but because they were the last thing he ever expected Mateo to say. Mateo, who once treated vulnerability like a foreign language, was now speaking it fluently. The storm outside cracked with thunder. Mateo stood and took a cautious step toward Ethan. "You think I don't replay that day in my head?" he asked. "The way you looked at me when I said it was over? You think I don't hear your voice every time I walk into an empty apartment I picked over you?" Ethan's heart clenched so hard he had to grip the back of a chair. Mateo kept going, voice rough. "I thought success would fill the space you left. Didn't. It made the space louder." Ethan swallowed. "Then why didn't you come back?" "I was ashamed," Mateo whispered. "I didn't know how to face you after hurting you. And every month that passed made it harder." Ethan let out a shaking breath. Mateo took another step. "And then I saw your name on the transfer list for the Denver office. I thought fate was giving me one more chance. I took it. And now, this stupid locked door? This glitch? This storm?" He huffed a small laugh. "Feels like the universe is screaming at me to stop running." Ethan stared at him, chest tight, emotions tangled. "You're saying all the right things," Ethan murmured. "It's almost suspicious." Mateo gave a small, sad smile. "Maybe I finally learned the right language." Ethan didn't move when Mateo came closer. Close enough that Ethan could feel his body heat. Close enough that memories pressed at him from all sides. "Let me try," Mateo whispered. "Not to win you back, but to deserve you back." Ethan's breath faltered. His mind screamed no. His heart whispered maybe. And maybe was dangerous, because maybe meant hope. He stepped back. Not far, but enough. "I don't know if I can forgive you." Mateo nodded. "I'll wait. And I don't know if I can trust you. I'll earn it. And I don't know if I'll ever love you the way I did." Mateo's voice cracked just slightly. "I'll cherish whatever you can give me." Ethan felt tears build. He blinked them away fiercely. Why now, Mateo? Why after everything? Mateo didn't hesitate. Because losing you was the biggest mistake of my life. And standing in front of you again, I realized I don't want a life where I don't at least fight for you. Thunder boomed again, rattling the room. They stood there, inches apart, the storm raging around them. Something inside Ethan loosened, something tender and raw. Slowly, without fully meaning to, he reached out and touched Mateo's hand. Just a brush of fingers. Soft, cautious, trembling. Mateo inhaled sharply, like that tiny touch meant everything. Ethan whispered, "This doesn't mean we're fixed. I know. This doesn't mean I'm yours again. I know. But it means I'm not shutting the door." Mateo's eyes softened with something Ethan had once memorized. "Then that's enough." The storm began to ease outside, rain turning gentler, the thunder drifting away. The digital lock on the door beeped softly, a signal the power had returned. The door clicked open. Neither of them moved. Ethan squeezed Mateo's hand once before pulling away. "We should head back," he said, voice steady but warm. Mateo nodded, but his eyes stayed on Ethan like he was looking at the first sunrise after a long winter. As they stepped out of the room, the hallway lights flickering back to life, Ethan felt a strange, careful hope bloom in his chest. Not a reckless hope, not blind forgiveness, but a beginning, a choice, a crack in the wall he'd built, and a chance, however small, for light to come through. Mateo walked beside him, not leading, not pulling, just close enough for their arms to brush. Ethan didn't move away. For the first time in 2 years, he didn't want to. And somewhere inside him, maybe not fully yet, but quietly, a new thought formed. Maybe this time they'd get it right. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.